Greetings, I'm Kathy Green with Christian News and Interviews. I want to talk to you for a few minutes about Nigeria. That's one of the countries that Americans want to migrate to. Nigeria stays in the news and not in a good way. I remember a few years back, and I guess it's still going on, but Nigeria was famous for its scams where they would call people and scam people out of money. They had a trillion different schemes that they would use. One of which was to find women who were lonely and to pretend that they were suitors for those women. And they would get millions of dollars. And it's still going on. Not as prevalent in the news as it used to be, but it's still going on. So, what I'm going to talk about today is the fact that they're breaking people out of jail now. And it's not really new. It's been going on, but it's becoming even more prevalent. Listen to this. Nigeria's gangs raised millions by kidnapping children. Now the government can't stop them. So, Nigeria is out of control right now. And there's really nothing that the government can do about it. Now listen to this. Criminal gangs flush with ransom money are growing more brazen, stealing heavy munitions and extorting the government. Extorting the government, okay? Check this out. The masked men emerged from the forest on motorbikes, surrounding a young intelligence officer clutching a cash-filled bag. The ransom, nearly $50,000 in crisp Nigerian banknotes, wasn't for a person, but to retrieve a weapon. Wow, that directly threatened the country's president. A kidnapping gang encamped in Nigeria's Rugu Forest and seized an anti-aircraft gun in a clash with a military unit that posed a threat to President Muhammadu Buhari, who had been planning to fly to his hometown about 80 miles away, and the government needed to buy it back. Did you hear that? The government needed to buy it back. An hour later, the officer who declined to be identified was clasping hands with the leader of a diffuse network of criminals whose campaign of kidnapping civilians, including hundreds of school children, has raised millions of dollars to build an arsenal of heavy weaponry they are using to wrest control of swaths of the North, including the president's home state. In the forest of northwest Nigeria, loosely organized criminal gangs that raise funds kidnapping children are now flush with arms and operating beyond the reach of an increasingly fragile state. Don't let Nigeria tell you that they're strong. These criminals are taking on. In some instances, government officials in Africa, most populous nation, have been paying the gangs to return stolen weapons. Did you hear this? The government is paying the gangs to return weapons that they stole. And kidnapped personnel, according to confidential documents and interviews with senior military officials, soldiers, and independent mediators, and one of the gang leaders. If they don't pay, we kill them, said Shakur Rakeb, a militant leader in Zamfara state, in a phone interview. His men were herdsmen, he said, who had been mistreated by the state and subjected to arbitrary arrests. Once armed with machetes, they now have weapons on par with the military and collaborators inside the army, he claimed. Trying to decide if there's anything else I want to read from this. The bandits have seized more than 1,000 children from their schools this year. Thousands of schools have closed in a country where half the population is under 18 and which has become home to the world's largest population of out-of-class children. Farmers have abandoned their land or sold it to purchase their children's freedom, sending the price of corn, rice, and beans to new highs. Hundreds of villages have been deserted after fighting that has left 250,000 people homeless. Quote, "My son has been captive in the forest for months," said Bulus Quo, whose firstborn was one of 140 students abducted from Bethel Baptist School in July. "Please, will you give us the money to free them?" This is sad. And there's nothing that the government can do to stop these criminals from kidnapping these children, raising millions of dollars, and basically just roaming the country, doing whatever they feel like doing. Whew. Look at this. Taking schoolgirls, I mean, they're just having a good time. And the government can't stop them. Now, this particular article came out today. Nigerian gunmen attack jail, 575 detainees missing. And this is not the first time that they've attacked the jail and released criminals. Okay, this is just the latest time. And this is probably the most that they've released at one time. 575 criminals that they've released from jail. Listen to this. Gunmen attacked the jail in Nigeria's Oyo State late on Friday and freed over 800 inmates by force, the third such attack this year, prison service said in a statement on Saturday. The prison service said the attackers were heavily armed and after an exchange of gunfire with prison officers, gained entry to the prison yard by blasting the walls with dynamite. So this was a well-planned attack. Some 575 inmates who were all awaiting trial were missing, while 262 escapees had since been recaptured. It said, adding that the jail housed only 64 convicts who did not escape. While all the awaiting trial detainees were forced out of custody themselves, housing the convicts and the female inmates were not vandalized. Nigeria is struggling with security problems across its vast territory, including a spate of abductions of students for ransom by criminal gangs in the Northwest and an Islamic insurgency in the Northeast. The jail attack in Oyo follows similar attacks in Imo State in April, where more than 1,800 inmates were freed. Okay, so even more were freed back then, while another 266 prisoners were forcibly released in Kogi State last month. So to the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed dreamers, to the Americans who want to return to Africa, go ahead and visit, but I wouldn't advise you to move there. It is dangerous, off the chain dangerous. You think America is dangerous? This government has 100% lost control of its country. Nigeria is under the control of criminals. And the government is negotiating, begging and paying them to return things that they're taking by force. Stay tuned.